So, what's the difference between momentary happiness and framework happiness? This is what we're going to delve into today. So, stay tuned, and I'm going to share the context around this so you're going to be able to use it to identify whether you're currently in momentary happiness or in framework happiness. And for a lot of us, we're actually stuck in momentary happiness. So, let's go and have a chat about how this works. Hi, I'm Nicola. For those of you who don't know me, Freedom from the Desk is my podcast channel and YouTube channel. So if you're listening to me, welcome. And if you're seeing me, fantastic. It's lovely to see you. I'm new to the YouTube space, so I would really appreciate that thumbs up to give the algorithm a fighting chance for you guys to see this content. Now, I primarily support and help small business owners navigate through all the stuff that goes on upstairs and that we deal with, the inner demons, the imposter syndrome, and all that fun stuff that goes along with being a business owner. But I also have tools and tips and tricks that relate to everyday life. So, a bit of something for everyone. So, let's get into today's episode. Momentary happiness versus framework happiness. So, what does that even mean? I think the best way to describe this is momentary happiness for a lot of people is what we see as very everyday, very small task orientated things. Like it might be gaining a new client, or we might be getting paid, or we get some really lovely feedback. Now, that's momentary happiness, and that relates obviously to the online space as well, if you're working in the online space or you have a business. So, those small achievements, which are great, and this is the concept of what we want to talk about today, is that momentary happiness and framework happiness actually should fit together. But unfortunately, they don't. It's a bit out of wonk for a lot of us, and it makes for a very uneven processing of things in business. So this is why I wanted to share this topic today, because it's really super important. Now, the momentary happiness versus the framework happiness is sort of best explained via a bit of an analogy. And I love an analogy. You'll get used to me sharing information around the history of things that I talk about, and also framing it in such a way that it's a lot more digestible for people. So the best way to explain the momentary versus happiness versus the framework happiness is to liken it to building a house. Now, I think we've all had the experience of either moving into a new property or building a property. And that thing about the best way to sort of label momentary happiness is to think about the process of when you're building a house. Momentary happiness is the element that relates to a lot of the sort of, I want to say surface stuff, like your paint and your fittings and artwork and furnishings and things like that. So those things are all while they're crucial to the overall look of your home, they change with time. They may date. You may be following trends. Your tastes may change. And this is very much how it fits and aligns to your momentary happiness versus the framework happiness. And so if we look at those things are, like you throw cushions for your bed or on your couch or something like that, it's possible that you may have the same variety in colour and patterns that you had 10 or 20 years ago, but it's highly likely that you've upgraded them or they've changed, and your tastes have changed and things like that. So your momentary happiness gauge is about those things that are very much in the moment. And when we look at the framework happiness structure, we're looking at the foundation and the framework of your home, right? So without framework in place, the things that you fill it with and the paint on the walls and things like that and the fittings are kind of academic. They don't really do much. They may look really pretty and fill a gap momentarily, but they don't fit into the big picture when you haven't got that basic framework in place. And when I talk about your basic framework and we relate it back to business, we're talking about things like, structures and planning and bit of the boring stuff, if we're being honest. And it's hard to focus on those structures and the planning and those things that make life bearable, your framework, because they're not exciting and they're not they don't light you up. They don't give you that buzz when something happens. They're very boring and they're very mundane, but that is your framework. That's your framework happiness. And without those things that are in place, like scheduling and that sort of stuff, it's going to make your momentary happiness very fleeting, because the two aren't sitting together, because you're sort of missing it on the foundational side of things, on the framework happiness side of things over here. Think of it as a tender balance of a scale. If you're just chasing, or maybe, focusing on those momentary things in the happiness scale that are up here, then you've automatically got things a little bit out of kilter. So all we're trying to do is bring it a bit more, be a bit more balanced, and see maybe where you need to concentrate on that framework happiness over on this side. So I hope that helped, that analogy helped. It really helped me when I was working through this today for you guys when I was preparing this. And the reality is that the framework happiness is not flashy, but it's very powerful, because the two very much belong together. Now, I want to make this something practical for you guys so you can kind of apply this into your life. And I think the best way to do it is do this little exercise, do this practical exercise, and ask yourself one question: where am I putting paint, and where am I building my frame, when we use the house analogy? So where are you concentrating painting and putting throw cushions, versus where are you concentrating building your framework for happiness? So it's a really easy exercise. And I think what is really powerful is to sit down and ask that question, and actually ask yourself the question: what three things are you building in the momentary side? So what three things are you actually doing in the momentary side? And just have a think about it. It might be things like, you get excited about some new follows on your social medias, or someone comments on one of your posts, a client pays you, and those things really, really light you up. And they're all great. Don't get me wrong. They're all great things, but they have to be equalized with the framework happiness kind of score as well. So write out the three things that you see as your paint, and write out the three things that you see that you should be doing, or are doing, or maybe aren't doing, for your framework happiness. So there's real core things. And this can be applied for things like in relationships, with partners and with kids, things that you want to achieve in your life and things like that. And write down those three things. So write down the three things that are momentary, the paint and the throw cushions, when we use the analogy for the house, and three things on the framework, those solid, structured, procedural things that you're doing. Have you got both of them in place? What are you actually concentrating on? Where is your energy going? And if you're finding that your energy is going to the momentary things, then we need to peel that back for you guys and concentrate more on the framework happiness. So that's it for today. A nice short episode, a real fun one. I hope this was powerful for you guys. It's a really nice little exercise just to keep in the back of your mind and kind of keep us on track, because God knows we need it. We need all the help we can get. And I'm going to sign off for today. But before I go, don't forget to download your Power of 3 download. It's in the comments below, and it's just a free link, and it's a free resource I've created for you guys. It's a lovely little powerful 3 tools and exercises that you can use every day. And we're going to sign off, and I'll see you in my next video next week. So until next time, everyone have an awesome week.